with local global.
So, how did the marketing industry shift, and what were BrandSpeak Asia's strategies and innovations that helped adapt to these changes?
If there is one word that I could describe in the last 20 years that we've been around regarding the marketing landscape, it is the word change. Every single year, there's a lot of new introductions, a lot of new innovations, a lot of new technologies that are being introduced to the market. And the last 20 years have seen significant shifts in the marketing industry. And it's really driven by technological advancements, changing consumer behaviors, and the rise of new platforms and channels. If you think about it, the decision makers 20 years ago are no longer the decision makers that you get to interact with today. The decision makers of 20 years ago are actually those who are wearing suits. They come to the office bringing their attaché case. I don't know if you even know that. If you're part of the younger generation, you probably don't know that. But the younger generation now, the decision makers, top executives, change makers, those who start their own companies actually come in their sweatpants and sneakers. Those are the new generation today that are decision makers. And so those are actually your consumers or your customers. And the behaviors have changed dramatically. And if you're in the marketing industry, those are the things that you have to watch out. You have to look for that change that's happening in the community, in society, in the industry. You can't be stuck in your ways of 20 years ago, even if they worked. You have to be constantly on the move to see what's changing. Why are people changing? What are the new likes? What are their desires? What is up? And so some of the significant changes that I've seen is actually digital transformation. We actually launched this advocacy at BrandSpeak Asia called Coffee Talk, wherein we're able to give out to the youth, to the students, to university students, and share to them real experiences, our expertise, and real case studies that they can't learn in school. And when I was doing this talks with the university students, teaching them about PR, about marketing, about events, I usually ask the question, who picked up the newspaper today? And more, every single year, I see hands that are not being raised anymore. And even to the point of saying, what's a newspaper? Because little by little, the behavior of the market has actually changed. No one actually picks up the newspaper anymore, and it's actually pretty sad because we love newspapers, we love newsprints. It's not totally gone. What I'm saying is that because of the introduction of digital transformation, the behavior of the market has totally changed. And it's not even the market that we're talking about. The behavior of people have actually changed. So even you, I ask you, have you actually picked up a newspaper on the way to where you are today? Probably no. You haven't seen that maybe in the last 5 years, right? And so the rise of new technologies, the rise of digital platforms, social media marketing has actually introduced a totally new concept of how we do business in the industry. So another key thing that has shifted is the rise of social media marketing. And that is something that we have embraced as well in the company. Now, when you wake up, the first thing that you check is your mobile phone, right? And so connected to social media marketing is actually mobile marketing. You have to be able to talk to the market, to people where they are. You can't simply bring into an event. You can't simply bring them to buy a newspaper, to watch TV, and it's not always about coming to them. You have to make sure that you know where they are, and you know what they have, and you know what they're doing every single minute of the time. And in this particular case, I might ask you, do you have your mobile phone? Probably you can't leave your house without your mobile phone. And so one of the key things about the shifts in the marketing industry as well is mobile marketing. Everything that we need to do should adapt to that little screen that you see on your phone and make sure that you're in there. You're getting the attention of the people in there in that mobile phone. Another key thing that we have introduced to the market, and I know that marketers are also adapting around the world today, is actually content marketing. Because there's a rise of social media, there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's TikTok, there's YouTube, a whole barrage of social media. And those social media are actually just pipes And the important thing that you have to remember about these tools is that what you put in there are more important than what it is that you actually use. So if you open the faucet, for example, what will come out of it? Is it water? Is it juice? Is it Coke? So what you put in there in the social media is more important than the pipe itself. So that's how we see it. And so content marketing is really very important, which is also very much connected to the other thing that I've seen that's really important, that has created a shift in the marketing industry, which is influencer marketing. Gone are the days when your generation or this generation actually looks to your editors, your talents in TV commercials, people that you just look up to as celebrities or people that are known. Now, people who are starting their channels from their homes, from their garage, from their bedroom, who actually have something to say authentically about their products are actually also being believed by consumers out there. And this is the power of influencer marketing. You can start and you can create your own platform and talk about a particular topic that you think you're very good at. And so people actually believe those people more, those influencers, even if they're not celebrities in their own right. They believe them more because the way that they present their content and the way that they use your products is more relevant and authentic. And so I believe one of the key things that has happened in this generation today, especially with marketing, is really influencer marketing. And I think that's something that you ought to try today. So you can see if you're a marketer or you need help with marketing, it could be daunting because of the many changes that are happening. Even the older people or older generation actually are intimidated by all the new technologies that are being introduced. But I must say this, amidst the many changing tools, technologies, and innovations that are happening in the marketing industry, there are key principles that remain. And for me, those are three things. And the first one is never fail to understand your customers. They are not just numbers or profits or people or part of your sales report or targets. They're actually people with emotions, with intellect, with desires and preferences. So you ought to understand them and see what do they need and what can I give them. Another key thing that you ought to remember as a key principle in marketing is that communication and connection is very important. If you're not clear with what you want to say, then people won't get your point. And if people don't get your point, then you won't make a sale. It's as simple as that one. So if you can tweet it or put it on X or use a thumbnail or post it on Facebook with very few words and it's accurate and concise and people understand it, then you know that you're hitting the nail in the head. You're making your point. And the last thing that I want to share that people forget because of the many tools that are introduced is that in marketing, you ought to remember you're just telling a story. You ought to tell your story. You don't have to make an overly big presentation. At the end of the day, you bring down your level of understanding and communication to the level that people understand, even if they're part of that organization or not. The masses, celebrities, influencers, whatever level, kids, adults, families, parents, you ought to tell a story and your story needs to be heard.